All right, good morning, Bill. We're now live from the Charles Vineyard in Anderson Valley outside of Boonville. We've got a lot of workers here on the vineyard. We've got 15 acres here of Pinot Noir, some Sauvignon Blanc, and some Semillon. And Bill's going to tell us what's going on.
Good morning. We started pruning on this last Wednesday. The Pinot Noir is finished. We're removing last year's growth and the canes and setting the positions for this year's crop. Generally we leave 1-2 bud spur for this year's crop. On the Sauvignon Blanc, we also leave a longer whip cane. These bud out a little earlier, so if the weather's bad, the set might not be good. These longer canes bud out a little later in the season, in the spring, so they have a chance of setting a crop on those if the weather's better.
Now, is that only for Sauvignon Blanc that you're doing those longer whip canes?
Yeah, not necessary in our Pinot. It would give us more growth than we would desire.
Okay.
And we don't seem to have quite the situation with the Pinot as we do here with the Sauvignon Blanc.
The situation being?
It's a little colder here for Sauvignon Blanc, so it's probably not the ideal climate for it, but it makes one heck of a good Sauvignon Blanc. Beautiful tasting tropical fruit, not so green and grassy.
And what is the clone of the Sauvignon Blanc?
It's an Entov clone, so it's one that was brought over here in the Napa Valley and propagated there. So we ended up having to pay the French government a royalty for the budwood.
Oh.
So, and off the top of my head, I can't remember. It's one of the 200s, Entov 200 clones.
All right, so we have a bunch of workers. You said they've been here for a few days.
Taking a break.
Taking a break. Not quite as hard as harvest, it seems. Less urgent.
Less urgent, yeah.
All right, and we saw some spraying also that was happening.
Right, after we remove the shoots and the canes, it exposes pruning wounds. And these wounds are susceptible to eutypa and canker diseases. So we put Vitaseal on them, and that seals the cut, and so that the fungus can't enter the trunk and the cordon. It causes it to die back, eutypa.
Eutypa. All right. So once we're done here today, what's the next steps for you in the vineyard?
Go to Hawaii.
Ah, when does that happen?
After we're done in the vineyard.
Ah, okay. All right. We have some bud break that's going to happen here. When will that?
It'll be middle of March before we have bud break. Before they start pushing, they get soft.
Okay.
So we're pruning a little earlier this year. Primarily, it'll cause us to bud out a little sooner, so there'll be a little more frost, but it might hasten harvest. So if we're on the front end of harvest, we'll have a better chance of getting more labor as opposed to right in the thick of things. We're in this middle of harvest where labor's really tight.
Right.
And labor's getting tighter, so we've opted to move a little bit, move the pruning up to hasten the harvest and move it up also.
Ah, interesting. So we don't end up like we did last year.
Well, we probably always will end up like last year, but we try and forget that.
Yeah, right. All right. So, well, thank you so much for the time. Beautiful vineyard, beautiful day. Gonna be the 70s this weekend.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. So, all right. Have a great day, Bill. Enjoy Hawaii.
Thank you, Courtney.
All right. Cheers.
Jake. No moss, JK, no moss.